Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Diamond Crystal, also known as the Gallivanting Grandma. I am coming to you tonight during my stay here in beautiful Barbados. I am having an amazing stay in this incredible country. If you have not visited, please put it on your list. I am so grateful to be here for a good 40 days. So I'll be able to check out the island. But that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. You guys know that when I do a YouTube interview, I have some phenomenal guests. And tonight is not an exception to that rule. But before I get into my guest speaker, let me just introduce myself for those of you who may not know. Again, I am the Gallivanting Grandma. I am a global nomad, a 5-star international house sitter, and a global travel ambassador for women over 55 who are looking to embrace a new journey in their lives with grace and ease. So, enough about me. Tonight, I am excited to bring a sister girl that I have been knowing on Facebook for quite a long time, and we are going to talk about her faith over fear journey. Her name is Frances, and give me 1 second while I bring Frances to the stage.
Hey,
Hey, Frances.
how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here
Absolutely.
with you.
I am excited to have you. As I was doing the introduction, I said we have been knowing one another on Facebook for quite a while.
Hmm.
And just kind of, talking to each other and encouraging one another through our posts and everything. So I'm excited to have you. Where in the world are you? Let's start there.
Right now, I am in Savannah,
Okay.
Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Been here for almost a year. Really like it, but don't know how long I'll be here.
Okay.
How
Okay.
much
Well,
longer, I should say.
I did enjoy Savannah. I did a girls' trip a few years way back, way back. And
Mhm.
I enjoyed Savannah, but you know me, I'm the gallivanting grandma, so I ain't trying to put down roots for no year. That sounds traumatic to me, but
Yeah, I'm moving in that direction, that
you're moving in
gallivanting
that
direction.
direction.
Yeah.
Yes, so I should say that Frances is a fellow sister who sits. She's a house sitter as well. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business, and we're going to get into the conversation.
All right, all right. So again, my name is Frances, and the name of my business is Find Her Freedom.
Okay.
And you can find me on Instagram under Find Her Freedom. And basically, what Find Her Freedom is basically a career break coaching uh, site service that helps women, Black women like us, start on a path of finding their freedom. I've been on this journey or started my journey a little over 2 years ago, and it's been totally life changing.
Mm,
Yeah, taking a break from, life and the job and the this and the that, and
yeah.
just doing you and doing what you want to do has really changed the way I look at, the next few chapters of my life, basically. And I want that for other Black women and my sister friends and, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. You are so correct. I mean, find her freedom is
Mhm.
perfect because that's really what we talk about through the Exodus Summit groups and the Sisters Who Sit group.
Mhm.
It's about having freedom and flexibility in your life, whatever stage of the journey you're in. Just because you've been doing it doesn't mean you have to do it, right?
Correct.
You don't need to
Absolutely.
continue to do it. So, career break coaching. Oh my goodness, that's a big one. And tell me why you decided to do career break coaching. What about your background qualifies you now to be that resident expert in that topic?
All right. Well, aside from having taken my own extended career break, my work life before. It's about 30 years
Yeah.
in human resources in the hospitality industry.
Hmm.
And so, coming up in HR and just all facets of it, coaching is a big part of human resources, employee relations, performance management, that type of thing. And so, Finder Freedom is basically just an amalgamation of the kind of work that I did from that aspect of human resources and bringing it to the aspect of Black women finding their freedom and taking a break. And so
Hmm.
I use my years of coaching my employees and mentoring people and coming up in the ranks and just transferred it over to doing the same thing, but in the world of a career break.
There you go. There you go. I love that. So, what I hear you saying is somebody in corporate America was paying you for the skills that you have now pivoted and started your own coaching and consulting business. Is that what I heard you say?
100%.
Oh
100%.
my goodness. I
Yeah.
listen, when I 5 years ago, 3 years ago, could have used your services really because, I was granted a sabbatical for a certain amount of time. But when it was time to go back, I was like, I need more time, and they wouldn't give it to me. And I didn't have the right HR answers or
Mhm.
questions to ask, right? I wasn't coming from a position of authority. So I could have used your services then. I call you up, Francis. They said, no, how can I come back? How can I snap back on that, right?
And a lot of people tell me that now. They're like, oh my God, I wish I knew, or I wish I had you to talk to way back when, because this is something that I could have really used when I was trying to, take maybe not a year or two like what I did, but even 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, whatever it was. And I was getting so much pushback
Yes.
about why I need to take this time off, and I got work to do, and who's going to do your job and all this and all that. And so yeah, I get that a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
I mean, it's having the professional language,
Mhm.
which you have as an employee. They don't want us to have it. HR doesn't want us to have it. They don't want us to understand what really is available to us, right? And I think that the most important thing for us to realize, for those of us that are still, those of you, because I'm not, still in the workplace, HR is not your friend.
I know.
HR is there to protect the company
That's
and the
right.
company's best interest. So it is not in the company's best interest for you to take a 1 year paid sabbatical. It is not in the company's best interest to do any of the things that we've been talking about right now, which is freedom and time flexibility, right?
That's
They want you at that desk.
They want you at that desk. They want you to answer when they call. They want you to put them first. And all of the things that they want for me now is those are the things that you need to want for yourself.
Right.
Answer your own call when you feel a call. Put yourself first. Be your own employer. So yeah, 100%. The HR is absolutely not your friend. They are there to protect the interests of the company.
Exactly, exactly. So now you are stepping in almost on an advocacy um, perspective, right? So if I'm employed, I'm asking the questions. You're telling me how to successfully ask the questions to get the end result that I want. Um, and that's real important. That's real important. I'm glad to see that you've been able to pivot this. Tell me a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, because
Mhm.
for a long time I struggled with what my next chapter was going to look like and
Mhm.
where I would end up and what I
Mhm.
would do. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought about all kinds of other things. And I think, as women, as people in general, you kind of move in the direction of the things that you know, or the things that you've done in the past that you're
That
comfortable with,
familiar, that familiar.
familiar.
Hmm.
Yes. And so, and I that happened to me as well, and I dealt with that too. But being away from corporate, for as long as I was and doing the things that I had been able to do and go the places that I went and the house sitting and all that stuff, you know, I just couldn't see myself going back.
Mm, mm. It's
Couldn't see
almost,
it.
that's right. I
And
mean,
so
and
I
that's
knew that I had to figure out what else I could do because
that's right. Because I can't
like
go back.
like Kamala Harris says now, we're not going back.
We're not going back. I get that on so many levels because I tell the story. If I told it once, I told it a million times. You know, I got 60 days. That's what I was granted. And
Mhm.
at day 50, I knew I couldn't go back.
Right.
But I struggled with that same self doubt. Like, all right, well, you know, how you going to support yourself? And you need money and you need a job, but you know you can't go back. You know,
Right.
so we start really getting inside our head and playing all these different scenarios. And I think that's the beauty of having a supportive community online and in real life, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
once you start expressing, transparently expressing those concerns, those fears, those, I really don't know what direction I should go in, there are people in the community that are going to hop in and, you know, start talking the language that you need to start using, right? It's almost like a foreign language. You kind of feel it in your soul,
Mhm.
but your mind and your heart haven't aligned yet,
Yes,
right?
yes. And you was that person for me. I'm
Oh,
gonna tell you. And I have spoken to, family members and friends and stuff, and they all want the best for you and they tell you you can do anything and they cheer you on,
mm-hmm.
but they don't exactly tell you how to do it or
Yeah,
the direction to go to and how to get there. But you were that person for me.
thank
When
you.
you and I spoke, I think it was in May.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was at a house sit in New York when we
I
spoke.
remember distinctly.
Yeah, man. And you just gave me so many gems, like they say, and so
Mm,
many possibilities. And we just talked about all the different things that
yeah,
I could do and where I could take it. And I got off that phone and I was writing. I don't know if you remember, but I
I
was
remember you
writing
were taking
as you
notes. Yes.
spoke. Yes. And when we got off the phone, I had this like all these notes. I was like, oh my God. I had all this stuff that I could do, and I was like, and it just went from there. It just
Yeah.
went from there.
Well,
So I have you to thank for that for sure.
well, it is my pleasure. That is why I was so excited when I saw you getting started, you know, talking about your new business on social media
Mm.
and, you know, doing lives. And I said, oh my goodness, she is executing the plan, right? And
Yes, still working on those lives, but I'm getting there.
listen, we all are, right? It's not second nature for many of us, right?
Mhm.
We're not used to being in front of the camera. I know that's my deal.
Yes,
But you know, that's a lot of that, what I want to call imposter syndrome. Like,
yes.
you know, and when you and I talked in our sessions, I heard a lot of that. Like, well, I know how to do this, but who's going to pay me to do it? Does anybody really want my services? We
Hmm.
start doubting ourselves,
Yep.
even though
Hmm.
you are a seasoned professional with inside information that nobody else has or very few people have and are looking for. You know, we start to doubt ourselves. Is anybody really going to pay me to do it?
Hmm.
But somebody was already paying you to do it, right?
Yes, yeah. But
And
it's true. And I mean, I think for everybody that is the truth. We all deal with imposter syndrome at one point in our life or another, or several points. I mean, even
Mhm.
now I still deal with it,
Yes.
particularly when it comes to the whole, going live and all that. And that's a huge one for me.
Yeah.
But I will say that I'm getting practice, and I have people like you and some other women in the circle
Hmm.
that are helping me, get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, everybody deals with it, but what is it? Fear over faith.
Faith
Faith
over
over fear.
fear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, yes, because that's my favorite hashtag. And really, it is in homage to my mom because I feel like she was a person, a woman who lived her life under that mantra: put your faith in front of your fear and keep moving,
Mhm.
and when I use that, I'm talking to women just like us. It took faith. I was afraid not to go back to work, right? Not to go back to
Mhm.
that job, to that employee. But I had the faith that I had everything inside that I needed. I
Right.
just need, I find that we need the time, the luxury of time to sit with ourselves,
Mhm.
and then to open up to, thank you again for opening up to me for this part of your journey, to open up to somebody who has an empathetic ear, who's not looking at you like you're an alien, like this is not possible, are you crazy, what are you drinking, girl, no, right?
Right.
All the things that family and friends are going to be like, that sounds good, but really you going to do that,
Mhm.
and
People
so
are
you
gonna
need
pay you for that?
right,
Yes.
right. And so you got to kind of get the noise out of your ear and sit with
Mhm.
yourself and talk affirmatively. I can do this. I've been doing this. I'm on the payroll for somebody else doing it.
Mhm.
Why can't I do it for myself? So
Exactly.
these are the conversations that we need to have with ourselves and with other people who are like minded. That's the beauty of community.
That's a good point. And I think that the more that I get into it and are taking part in conversations, even if it's an online conversation, you
Hmm.
start to develop those relationships with
Right.
other women that are, you know, trying to pave the same path or a similar path or going through the same thing. Your group is really good about that. Sisters Who Sit,
Hmm.
people share a lot of information with the new people and tips and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to find
Hmm.
a community that is like-minded and trying
Hmm.
to do the things that you're trying to do as well.
Hmm.
Um, because not everyone in your former life, whether it's work or friendships or what neighbors or what, when you change, they don't. And so that means that unfortunately, some you got to leave some of them behind, and you got to pick up with the new ones that are on the same path or similar path as you. And I'll tell you, I have had to shed some people from my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the tough part of it. We have enough confidence to put that faith in front of our fear and start moving in the direction of our dreams. But like you said, everybody's not meant for this part of the journey.
Mhm.
And I really struggled with that in the beginning because I was so excited about this new level of freedom and liberation in my life that I wanted all my sister girls who were in my circle at that time to
Mhm.
experience it. Everybody's not ready.
No.
And the vision that I had was uniquely mine. And as much as you share it with the people that you love the most, it's not going to be their vision because it was given to you for a reason. So
Yes.
while they can support you and hopefully they do, you got to make room.
You do.
Shedding people is allows you to make room for new people. You can't embrace everybody at the same
No.
time. Your arms are only so big,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And people, everybody, like you said, everything is not for everybody.
Mm-mm.
And as much as you love people that are or have been in your life for however many years or
Hmm.
friendships and stuff like that, when you start to evolve and become something else or someone else or something
Yep.
different, that's your change, not theirs. So we got to be
Exactly.
able to separate, and understand that, okay, this is the direction that I want to go, and I think this is what's best for me.
Yeah.
They might not necessarily be on board, so we got to part ways or move on or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Or they get a different position in your life. Not
Yes.
that you have to say goodbye, but you love them from a
From a
distance,
distance. Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Because Listen, people will kill your dreams for you if
Mm-hmm.
you allow them.
Mm-hmm.
They will tell you what's not possible and tell you and say it like they're saying it in love, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, then you start doubting yourself because you've allowed that negativity to seep into your mindset. And there's absolutely no room for that. It's just no room for that. And I think that the communities are important because they are also safe spaces.
Yes.
There's no question that's too small, too large. There's no question that you can't ask and get
Mm-hmm.
a response in respect, out of respect and care. And that's what I'm most proud of with the Sisters Who Sit community is we're 1,400 plus women strong.
Awesome.
I know, girl. Sometimes I pinch myself about that. I remember when I was asking people, "Could you get me to 100?"
And
Um,
it just
but
like exploded.
it has, and it just gives my heart so much joy to have people
Mhm.
like you and other sisters who are seeing house sitting as an option. Because if you can eliminate, let's talk about house sitting for a minute. If you can
Mhm.
eliminate the biggest expense in life, which is housing, if you
Correct.
can eliminate that from your financial equation, it opens up a world of opportunities on what you can do because you don't need that $2,500 a month just for your mortgage, your rent,
Right.
whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
right? Opens up a
Exactly.
world of opportunities. When I talk to people, they're like, "You house sit on a regular basis?" I said, "No, I house sit all the time, full time.
Hmm.
I have no home base, you know?" So when they're talking to me about electric bills and the gas is high and all that stuff, and I'm like, you need to house sit.
Insurance. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You need to house sit. I said to somebody today, as I was sitting in the salon, she said, "I could understand why you house sit because electricity here on the island is very expensive." Like, don't take for granted that every place that you go is going to have air conditioning because
That's right.
electricity is extremely
It's
expensive.
very, very.
But I run the electricity, reasonably, but I'm not really worried about the bill. I'm not trying to run it up for my host, but at the end of the day, that's not my concern.
That's not your problem. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is not my concern. And
Yeah.
that's a level of freedom, like find her free. That's a level of freedom and flexibility that most people do not have
Yeah.
because you're tethered to that housing expense.
And that's one of the things too for me with house sitting. Even here locally, what I've
Hmm.
started doing is Rover, and Rover,
Yeah.
you get
That's that.
paid
You get
actually.
paid. That's right.
Exactly. But I'm not going to house it for like 2 days because
Right.
it's not worth it because they take their cut or whatever.
Hmm.
But what I've been able to do though, and which has worked out really well for me with Rover, is that once I sit for someone and form that relationship, we take it off the platform. You know?
Absolutely.
And so it's just me, like I just got a call back from one lady, and she's like, "Can you come?" And this is excluding Rover. So whatever happens between her and I is just her and I, and it works out well that way for me.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time in the group, it's everything's a conversation. Don't be afraid to have conversations. You are providing a valuable service. People love their pets. They
Yes.
want you, right? I'm in demand. And
Hmm.
so therefore it's a conversation as to what I need and what you want in exchange.
Hmm.
And Rover, works great in the States because especially if you have a home base, you can dominate an area. you know,
Correct.
if
Yeah.
you're in Savannah and you're constantly telling people that you're available, you're a house sitter, you're passing out your number, your information, you talking to people at the dog parks and all that kind of stuff, you
Hmm.
can really dominate an area and make money.
Yes.
So trusted house sitters is a fabulous way to get started with that exchange, that simple exchange of services for accommodations. But it is always in your best interest to parlay that into a paid situation whenever you can.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I do that. Don't we do it with Airbnb? If you're getting an Airbnb and you say to them, can you do anything on the price? Maybe they take it off the platform,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're a new host. Here in Barbados, taxis are ridiculously high, like
Mhm.
ridiculously high. From one side of the island to the other, you might be paying over $120.
Wow.
For real, for real. And I was talking to somebody and they said because gas is imported, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
everybody got to live, everybody got to eat. But every single time that I have gotten in my first week, gotten in a cab, I was like, listen, you got a card? Because I could call you again, but I'm not going to call you through the app.
Right.
So we do
Right.
it in every other aspect of our lives. Why not do it for house sitting where it can benefit us?
Yes. 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 Yes.
I agree 100%. I want to get into Find Her Freedom. I want to get
Okay.
in specifically because you gave me a great overview.
All right.
Career break coaching, and when you get ready to make a life change from corporate to give you a call. But tell me specifically how you are helping women find their freedom.
So well, the first thing is always, for the person to figure out, the woman to figure out what kind of a break they want.
Mm,
Some people have the luxury of more time than others.
mm,
Some people either have to go back to work or want to go back to work. Some people want a completely different job. Some people don't want to go back to work. So
right.
it really, we have to start with what do you want to do where work is concerned? Because a lot of times, mostly, that is the biggest hindrance. You know what I mean? So we start with stuff like that. Um, the other thing we talk about is finances because,
Mm.
money
Money is
is
a real thing.
it's a real thing and you need it for everything. And so
Everything.
you take a look at your finances and where you are versus where you need to be
Right.
in order to do what you want to do where the actual break is concerned. We talk about setting up savings and automating your savings so you don't really feel it when it just when instead of you having to say, oh, I got to do this, it just automatically comes out. You don't see it, it's gone.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's one of the things that really worked well for me when I was going through it. And so I share that with people. We talk about, the big ones like the credit card debt and
Absolutely.
you got to get rid of that stuff, get it down, and on all the things that contribute to your finances and how the impact that they play on the type of
Mhm.
break that you can actually take and have for
That
yourself
you can actually afford.
that you can afford.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you're not gonna get stress free if you're on a break and you don't have the money to support the break. You're
yes.
adding stress,
You're just
right? You're
adding
not
more stress.
eliminating anything.
Right, right. We talk about, and this is a big one for a lot of people too, decluttering and getting rid of stuff.
Oh
And,
yes.
we're hoarders, and we like just shiny stuff and the designer bags and the shoes and the da 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 da. And a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this too. You have stuff in your closet that still has the tags on. Why?
Has tax on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so,
Yes.
getting rid of the things that A, you can make money from,
Right.
B, that don't serve you in the type
Hmm.
of life that you want for yourself going forward. And so that's another huge one. For me personally, travel was a big part of my break and what I
Yeah.
wanted to include in my break. And so, if that is something that the person is interested in, we talk about that as well.
Hmm.
Um, it's travel is not for everyone. Some
It's
people
not.
just want to stay home and lay on the couch, and that's okay too.
It certainly is. And I'm
You
glad
know?
you said that because a break has to be what you need for you, not
Exactly.
what somebody else's break has looked like, right?
Exactly.
Everybody is not going to become a full time house sitting global nomad
Hmm.
successfully. That doesn't work for a lot of people. Just because
Right.
you see it working for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You
Right.
can't live out of a suitcase. You have to be real with yourself. And I think having someone like you to ask those hard questions, to
Mhm.
make them really think about what is it that's going to serve you best, right?
Mhm.
Forget what you see on Instagram, Facebook, because people only put up
Yes.
the best of the best of the best, right? They're not putting up the days when they looking all crazy and I can't get rid of my mother's this, that, and the third. You
Right,
don't see
right.
those kind of
You don't
posts,
see
right?
that. Nope. Nope at all. The real life
The
stuff.
real life stuff. And there's real emotional attachment to stuff,
To stuff. To things. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right. You said get rid of things that no longer serve the
Yeah.
life that you see yourself living.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that a friend of mine, we hung out for my birthday in San Miguel de Allende. And we
Cool.
hadn't seen each other for a while.
Hmm.
And so we went to this like an art show kind of thing, and we were just looking around, and I saw this really pretty chair, and I was like, "Oh, I like that chair." And the next thing I know, she's talking to the store owners like, "How much is this chair? And can you get it shipped?" And I had to like stop her. I was like, "Whoa, I
Right.
like it, but I don't want it.
But I don't want it.
I don't have any
Right.
space in my life for that."
Oh my goodness.
So, I
That
mean,
is,
in another era of my life, I would have been like, pack it up, you
that's
know.
right.
But
That's right.
now that kind of stuff is not, not a part of my life. It's
Listen.
not important to me. Those things like that, not important to me.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
And there are those times when you'll stop, like especially in Mexico, because the fabrics are so vibrant and beautiful,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh man, I want this plate, I want this bowl, and then I'm like, I'm a nomad, it don't fit in my suitcase, so I ain't buying it.
Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm.
I admire it from a distance,
From a distance, yes.
and say if and when I ever decide to come off the road, I know what I want in my life as far as, furnishings and things of that nature. But you're right. I have no space for any of that in my life
Mm,
right now. That is not the direction my life is going in.
mm-mm.
Accumulation is not part of my life. And
Yeah.
it used to be
Yep.
big time.
Yeah, all of us, I think. Another thing is, how do you talk to your family?
You and I went through that.
Yeah.
How can you talk to your
How do you
people?
your people? Because people are gonna be
Ooh,
like, "What are you talking about? You're gonna leave your job? You're gonna take time off just so you can create a garden, or just so you can lounge?" I'm like, so you can volunteer? What are you talking about?
what are
And
you talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we talk about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, in general, I
Mm-hmm.
am not the type that, will spurt off and tell people what I'm doing anyway, but I
Mm-hmm.
will tell the people that are close to me or closest to
Right.
me.
Right.
And so for me, that was my parents, that was my siblings, that was one of my really close cousins and stuff like that. That was, but then I know
Yeah.
that there are people that, they like to tell people what they're doing. And
Yeah.
you got to be really careful how you navigate that because, like you said, people are dream snatchers, man, or dream killers. So, and they can talk you right
Absolutely.
out of it.
Talk you right out of it and talk you right back into that toxic environment that you're trying desperately to escape.
Hmm.
Talk you right in because they can't see past the financial part of it.
Yeah,
And I find that to be really sad, especially when it comes to Black women, because that means we are still always putting everything above our mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And
correct.
that's what this journey for me has been, and for so many other sisters. It's about holistic wellness. And until you start shedding some things and
Hmm.
asking the questions of yourself in your quiet time, wellness is very aloof.
Yeah,
We're not used to it. We're not used to it for ourselves. We take care of everybody else before we do
everybody
anything for
else.
ourselves.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Lord forbid you got kids. I don't think
Hmm.
that ever ends, does it? My
No,
daughter's almost 33. Listen, it never
it
ends.
doesn't. Mine is going to be 21. And again, you know how I struggled with it. And
Yeah.
it's gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But at times it's like, oh my God, still. but like you said, they're always going to be your
Yeah.
baby. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And they are accustomed to us being a very hands-on,
Hmm.
involved, call me for anything kind of mom.
Yeah.
So I say we create that environment, and then we have to. One thing that we talked about for a long time in one of our sessions at the wellness retreat that I just hosted was creating healthy boundaries, and you and I talked about that too.
Hmm.
you know all right, listen, girl, you 21 years old. I've deposited all this stuff in you. I know what I put in there. Now I'm relying on you to make the withdrawal. And we have to set up boundaries that work for both sides. And
Yeah.
sometimes you got to reevaluate those boundaries. The same boundaries I had with my daughter when I first started this journey are not the boundaries I have now.
Mm.
They evolve, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say for myself that one of the biggest things that I set a boundary for myself by turning off my cell phone at night.
I do
I
that
never
too.
I never allowed myself to do that when I first left.
Mhm.
First of all, because I had some level of mother guilt that I was not there personally,
Mhm.
hands on for her, right? So I felt like I had to answer the phone every single time that it rang. And that included, there were time zone differences. But I did not put a boundary around that. I was just like, my phone is always available. I'm always here for you. It looks very different now. Trust and believe, it looks very different. And she's good with it because we worked through it.
Yeah.
This is how our lives are evolving separate from one another. And so that's one of the things that I can address it with my clients because I've lived it with my own.
Right. Hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's getting better. I think we
Good,
both
good.
are. We both are. And I school is getting ready to start in a couple of
Uh-huh.
weeks. So, she'll start to get back in her own groove
Yes,
with
in her group.
friends and school and all that. And so I think, this is like the opportune time for me to exit stage left. Like
What
like
timing is
we
everything, girlfriend, right?
Yes, like we talked about. So yeah, we're gonna be, definitely going in different directions,
Uh-huh.
but still, you're always there for them.
Yeah, you're always there for them. And then,
Yeah.
in my case, add my granddaughter, who I
Mm,
was there when she entered the world,
right.
holding the left leg. I was there when she literally entered the world. And, our lives have been intertwined ever since. And so, that was a conversation that even at her young age, I had to, help to make her understand that this is what grandma's doing now, and here's how you can get excited about it and how you can also join in on it,
Nice.
because
Yeah.
that's my little house sitting buddy.
I know that's your buddy.
I wish I had her here because I got this cat that's like, anyway, I digress. I need the cat whisperer here, and she's not. But so,
It's
so tell me these days, what is bringing you joy? Because you said we've had some sessions, and I've seen the opposite of what I'm looking at right now in some instances when we've talked and
yeah.
had some chats. But now I see nothing but pure joy on your face, and it makes my heart happy. So tell me what's bringing you joy these days.
You know, one of the main things is looking forward, and looking at toward the future and what the potential, sorry, the
Mm-hmm.
potential that's there.
Right.
That's one of the things. The other thing I would say is definitely developing more of a community. I consider
Mm.
myself to be an introvert, an introverted introvert. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm not one of those life of the party kind of people,
Yes.
but I'm just coming into people like yourself and some other people in the group and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and really starting to develop relationships with other
Mm-hmm.
women and stuff. And so, that's always a great feeling, especially for an introvert, when
Yeah.
you get to
Yeah.
meet people, because I prior I guess in my like I like to say in my past life,
Uh-huh.
I could count on my one hand and still have fingers left over my
Mm-hmm.
real true friends.
Sure,
You
sure.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think too, as we get older, it becomes more difficult to really form those bonds and make those real true friendships. And so
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that there are those possibilities, and
Yes.
I see people and I'm coming into contact with people that I can actually see a strong bond and friendship with. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Great. That's fantastic. That is
yeah.
absolutely, like I said before, it just gives me so much joy to see the smile and the peace that
Yeah.
I see on your face now. And I'm one of those, I'm a coach that I'm going to follow you. Now, I give you homework, do I not? I give you
You do.
homework when we
You
do our
do.
sessions,
Yeah.
but it's up to you to follow up. And I follow you. And I saw when you started getting active because you started adding comments
Hmm.
to posts. Somebody would ask a question, it was in your wheelhouse. And because I know what we had talked about, I'm like, oh my goodness, she getting her mojo. Yes, and I was excited. And I was excited because I saw you jumping in, and I say it's like double dutch. Just wait your turn because
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
some point or another, somebody's going to post something about I need to get out of this job. My HR person is giving me all kind of heck, and for you to just jump in and say, have you tried, or maybe you should think about, or I said, look at her
Yeah.
getting her sea legs. I
Yeah.
love it.
And again, I can only thank you for that, because you, like you said, you check in and you were like, even from after the first conversation that we had, you would shoot me texts, and
Yeah.
we communicate like that, and every time I hear your voice or listen to you, it just kind of gives me like a surge, you know what I mean? So
Oh,
I always like listening out for things that you're saying and stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah.
and like, and you hear this all the time. It's like once you start doing it, it's just to get
Yes.
started. You know what I mean? And for a lot
Yes.
of people, they just need that push or that encouragement and stuff like that. And you were that push for me.
Well, it's a blessing to be a blessing. That's the way I look at it. And everybody's out here trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents, right?
Right, right, right.
Everybody's out here trying to do the thing, but everything can't be about money,
Yeah.
because when it becomes about money, it no longer becomes authentic. And your authenticity and your transparency in your own journey is what's going to resonate with your clients and your future clients. You can't walk one way one day and talk the talk the next day. It's got to align. And
Hmm.
I know that that's what you're doing for your clients because you have already gone through, you know, how do I what's my escape plan? And that's
Right.
the main thing, right? You're helping
Mhm.
people develop a sound strategy to escape, right?
And I'm glad you said that too, because people see, or people that know you or have known you, and they're like, oh my God, you left this big job and all these perks and this and that and the other, and how could you do that? And this,
Right.
like, they're like, what, are you crazy? How could you leave
That's
that,
right.
not knowing all
Uh-huh.
the crap that you got to go through in that life? You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Yeah, the
That's
perks are great and all that, but I mean, is it really worth it to you? And like, at what point are you going to reward yourself
yourself.
for the
Right.
things that you have had to do and the things you've had to put up with, and invest in yourself and your joy? A lady asked me, I did a podcast interview yesterday, and she said to me, um, do you think you would do this again at 65? And I said to her, I believe that your life and your journey unfolds the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to had done this years ago, the outcome would have been different, because a lot of things aligned for me in order for me to do this journey or to take this journey the way that I have. And so Would I do it again at 65 and just whatever? Um, if I did it, I never say never, but if I were to do it, it would be from a place of what brings me doing it because it brings me joy and not doing it because or out of a place of necessity or I have gotten to this place because it's I can't take it anymore and the stress and I'm not doing it because I need to do it. I'm doing it because I like doing it and it brings me joy. So that was my answer to her for that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't do it
yeah, yeah.
because
And I'm
I
sorry I
was
lost
stressed.
you for a second, but
Uh-huh.
I know you were dropping some gems while my audio was just going crazy. So thank you for that. But
Yeah,
it's really, really important again just to be your authentic self whenever you're talking to folks because that's what resonates. That's really
exactly.
what resonates. Yeah. And
Mhm.
keep the noise to a minimum. And I'm talking outside noise.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's really, really important. Yeah. So what's next for Find Her Freedom?
Well, I actually, in the last, I guess, couple of days, maybe a week, I added I guess, another service. So I
Yes.
have a Ask Me Anything service where you
I love
basically
that.
you can chat with me if you have questions. For a lot of people, this is a foreign concept. And
Yes.
so if you have questions and you want to know, like, what exactly is this and how can this work for me? And what about this and what about that? We can sit on the phone and or video chat and we talk about whatever your questions are about career break and how it could work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and,
And whether it's right for you,
and whether it's
whether
even right
whether
for
that's
you.
even feasible, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because
Mm-hmm.
everything isn't for everyone. Um, and then the second thing is if you are set that, yes, this is something that I want to do, I do want to take a break. I now do one on one coaching where we work together for a period of like 3 months and we go through all the steps like we talked about from soup
Mm-hmm.
to nuts
Mm-hmm.
to get you on or to have a defined plan of how you're going to get from the job, the family, the money, the decluttering, travel or no travel, what have you, until, that day when you say, I'm out.
I'm out.
So, yeah.
Deuces. I ain't
Do-
coming back. You can
Yeah.
have this. I said I donated my job back to
Mhm.
somebody who needed it more than I did.
More than I did.
Right? And listen, faith over fear has allowed me not to even second guess that decision.
Mhm.
And once you make a decision in the affirmative for your life, the universe responds. I say,
That is so
the
true.
ancestors and the universe conspire on your behalf. And somebody asked me recently, said, Diamond, what would you tell your younger self? Um, and I said, I would just ask her, what took you so long? Like, what took you
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
because life is just so good, but you got to put in the work and you
Mhm.
got to have sound strategy, right? And that's where experts like yourself and others come into play. The beauty of it is you don't have to figure it all out yourself.
No. I,
That's
I
the
mean,
beauty of community.
I didn't have it figured out, as you know. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it took
And
me a
now look
while.
at you.
Yeah. And like you said, the universe conspires. And I think once you decide, and for me, this is what happened for me. Once I decided that this is something that I wanted to do for
Uh huh.
me,
Uh
everything just aligned, fell right into place. I mean,
huh.
I could tell
Say
you
it again for the
stories.
people in the back, girl.
I could
Yes,
tell you
once you
stories.
decide,
Once you
everything
decide,
falls into
everything
place.
falls into place. I had a vehicle. Well, I had two actually.
Uh huh.
And once I said, okay, I'm selling this bad boy, it was gone in 2 hours. Money in the bank.
Money in the bank. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So you just got to decide. Yeah.
yes, yes. And that's the biggest part. And so if you need help, call in Francis. You know, If
Yeah.
you need an empathetic ear and some encouragement and a basic strategy to get started, give me a call. I
If
mean,
you have questions.
there are sisters out here that, like I said, you don't have to recreate the wheel.
Hmm.
You know, there are sisters willing to share their journey so that, and I feel like it's paying it forward. It really is.
It is, yeah. And I mean, you want the best for your people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone's journey doesn't have to look the same, but
It can.
yeah, it's what you want for yourself. So
Right, right. And the other thing that I have discovered and I share with people is today's decision does not necessarily have to be next year's decision,
that's a good point. And that's another
right?
thing that we
Just
talk
because you
about.
decide to do it this year, don't look at it as a failure,
Mm-mm.
or look at it as a learning experience. And maybe you tried and it really wasn't for you, but at least you tried it.
Exactly. And that's another
Yeah.
thing that we talked about yesterday. And what I said to the lady, I said, I reserve the right to change my mind. And
Thank you.
so if 2 months from now I decide that I want to move somewhere else,
Hmm.
what I'm going
So
to
be
do.
it. You're not a tree. Move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I was really excited coming into this conversation because it was with you, and you know how I love personal receipts. I love to see my people doing well.
Right.
But just coming off the whole convention last night, and Michelle
I
Obama, and
know.
girl, I
Yeah.
mean, did she drop the mic or did she drop the
She
mic?
sure did. I'm sorry, but she did better than her husband.
Oh my! Listen, and he
And
was
he
more
was
like,
good, but she was, and even
like
he said it like, how
he
can you
said it.
follow
Who can
that?
follow her? Nobody can follow her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love her. I just love what is going on in the country right now. I was so energized. I used to be a very political animal at one point in my life.
Mm.
And so it's still, I could go down the rabbit hole very easily when it comes to this whole political landscape.
Okay.
But I just last night, just it warmed my soul in so many different ways. And there was a
Mm.
sister girl who spoke on Kamala's behalf, and she was a mentee. And when she used the phrase faith over fear, I lost it. I'm in this house with the animals, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing? What's going on? Where is it?" I was like, "Nah." She said, "Faith over fear."
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it takes to achieve any dream that you have. I don't have dreams and aspirations of being the president of the United States, but my dream was to own my life. Every aspect of my life I wanted to own. And every single day I get closer and closer to that. You know?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what
it
it's
was
all
very
about.
inspiring.
That's what
That's what
it's
it's
all
all
about.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to encourage Black women to make a life that you want and the life that you want for yourself. And,
Yeah.
not always putting other people first and
Yeah.
kids and husbands and parents and siblings and, being everything to everyone.
And
It's
not enough for
time.
yourself.
You're not enough for yourself. It's time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You
time.
can't pour from an empty vessel. And I
Exactly.
know I was pouring stuff that I didn't have. My reserves were gone by
Yeah.
the time I decided I needed an exit strategy. So, it's about putting yourself first. If you don't do it for 50 years, it's time. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
I didn't start until I was 58 years old.
I
You know,
look back and I was like, at one point, I was working so much that I actually had a bed in my office for my daughter so that she could be with me when I had to work at night or on the weekend. And I look back now and I'm like, what the hell were you doing?
what the heck were you thinking? So not only were you sacrificing your time,
Hmm.
you were sacrificing your daughter's time,
Yep.
right? Right. For the sake of a job.
For the sake of a job.
We got to get out of that mentality.
Yeah.
Lord, doesn't it feel wonderful to be out of that matrix?
I can't even explain to you the weight. that
Yes.
lifted the day that I turned everything over. I mean, there were days when I would go, like, get to work and, I'm in my parking space and I'm like, don't want to get out the car.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now, like, if I go back there or I visit or I say hello, because,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still pretty cool with a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm,
They're
mm-hmm.
like, Mike, they can see your full face and you look so much lighter. And I mean, it's visually different
Yes, it
from
is.
then to now. And
Yes,
I'm
it
like,
is.
yeah, it's like
Uh-huh.
you
Uh-huh.
don't know until you step out of it. You don't realize, I should say.
That's
Till you
right.
step
You
out.
really don't. And I say that about living full time in the United States. You don't realize how heavy that bag is, full
Hmm.
of its microaggressions of racism and everything else. You do not realize how heavy that bag is until you put it down. So I struggle when I have to come back to the States. Not that I don't want to be with, the people that I love the most, but
Hmm.
like, dang, God, I got to go back.
Yeah,
You go right into that mode again, and it's just it can be toxic.
yeah,
You know, it can
sure.
be very
Sure.
toxic. Yeah, yeah. So, girl, this has been an absolute delight. I want you to tell people how they can find you. Give us your socials, and I'm also going to put it in the comments so that people will have the hyperlink. But tell us how to find you.
I'm on Instagram
Uh huh.
at Find Her Freedom,
Uh huh.
and my links are there as well.
Uh huh.
And that they will take you to all the stuff that we talked about. So that's the place where you will find all my information. I'm also on Facebook, but I think I'm on Facebook under my name, not the
Yeah,
business.
you are. You
Yeah.
are. Hmm.
So yeah, that's primarily it. Those are
Okay.
the two
And
places.
are you on YouTube?
I am not.
Okay. Okay.
Not, not,
It's
not, not.
coming. It's on the
I'm not
way. Yeah,
saying
yeah,
again, not
yeah.
saying never, just not yet.
Not yet. One step at a time. One step at a
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
Girl,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I was overjoyed to see you doing an Instagram live. I said, well, dang, girlfriend
Yeah.
is getting into it. I love it.
I,
I love
I
it.
gotta pick up the pace with that one. I'm working
Hey, you know
working my way
what?
up to it.
Your live is distinctly yours. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. And I
Mhm.
think I shared with you, technology and I are not really friends. I do the
Right.
best I can with the limited, that I have. And I'm
Uh-huh.
a one and done. Like whatever it looks like or feels like when I'm done, that's what I present because otherwise it will turn into a job. And job is a bad word for me. I don't want no more work and I don't want another job. So as
Right.
soon as it start feeling like a job, I ain't doing it no more,
That's it. Done.
That's it. That's it.
All
Well,
right.
if you had one final parting word of advice that you could share with a
Mhm.
woman who is considering a change in their lives, what would it be?
I would say that everybody deserves a break, but
Mm-hmm.
no one deserves it more than a Black woman.
Ooh,
And
girl.
so if you're ready, I'm ready to help you. Um, I've done it and I want to help others do it because it's nice on the other side.
Oh, life is good on the other side.
On
I'm
the
gonna
other
say
side.
cheers to that. Tonight I'm having a look. Listen, still looking for my wine sponsor. I keep looking for them. They ain't showed up
Uh-oh.
yet. But I'm going to toast to everything that we said tonight. Yes, and salute. All the best to you, Francis. And
Thank you
I
so
am so
much.
glad to see your journey and be a part of it. Thank you for entrusting my services to help bring out all this phenomenalness. Is that a word? I just made it up.
It is now. It is
It
now.
is now. It
And thank
is
you so
now.
much because you were the fire that I needed. And
Ah,
I've had a lot of fires, but sparks rather, but you were definitely
mm,
the fire that I needed. And I'm eternally grateful to you for
oh,
that.
gratitude,
And
my
I
sister.
want to wish you a happy birthday in advance.
Thank you so much for remembering. Yes, I'm excited. I say it's 62 is version 6.2, and
All
I
right
feel
now.
better than I ever have in my life. So thank you so much, my sister. It has
You're
been
so
an absolute
welcome.
pleasure and a joy.
All right, you take care.
All right, be well until we meet again somewhere in the world.
That's right.
All right, y'all, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I wish you nothing but peace and blessings.